Welcome to Dragons of Power. I'm Steve Bowder,
I'm Alex Frankel.
and we have been away for longer than expected. Alex, I noticed you're wearing a shirt. Is everything okay?
Everything's fine. It's street cleaning Tuesday in New York City today, so I have to wear a shirt while I'm waiting in the car.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard that people can go topless anywhere in New York City.
That is true. It's cold today.
How cold is it?
Hey, not as cold as it is in fucking Dragonstone right now. Good
Oh yeah.
God.
Yes.
Yeah. So we weren't able to talk or review episode 9. So to really quickly recap that, the beast beneath the boards, baby.
No. Ever since ever since you pointed it out to me that what's her name?
Elena.
Elena, ever since you pointed out that she's a dreamer and she's
Mm-hmm.
prophetic, I heard the beast beneath the boards and I was like, "Ooh, boy, here we go."
Yep. I also loved getting the opportunity to see the dragon pit in its full glory. That was pretty cool with everybody in it. That was fucking awesome. Love that they kind of did a little homage to Shrek there when
I thought so. I saw that too. Yeah. I'm glad I wasn't the only one. I was like, there's something familiar about this. I
yeah.
can't quite put my finger on it. Yeah.
Yep. The whole sequence where they were looking for Aegon and so the little boy that we saw when they were in the child fighting ring, that is one of Aegon's bastards. Yeah.
How do
Yep.
you know that?
That was confirmed by the showrunners, and it's from the books as well. Aegon had a bunch of illegitimate bastard children
They
that
mentioned
are
something.
fighting in that fighting ring.
Yes, they mentioned that. I didn't realize that. I didn't put that together though.
Yeah.
He
I
was
got another one for you from the finale. Aegon's kids that he had with Helena are not Aegon's kids. They're Aemon's kids.
whoa.
Yep. If you
Wait,
go back and watch that scene where Alicent goes into Helena's room, uh, in that same episode, actually, when she goes into Helena's room looking for Aegon, and Otto Hightower is in as well. When he leaves and Alicent says "father," immediately after that, when you hear the word "father," Helena's kids say "Aemond."
whoa.
Yup,
Because he never wanted to be with her. Because he
yup,
was such a horn dog for the streets.
yup.
And because Aemond has such high ambition
Mm-hmm.
for being the second born.
Yep.
Well, I am filled with intrigue to say the least.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So yeah, so that was a very quick recap of episode 9, but them dealing with that whole thing and then jumping into the finale was fucking fantastic. God, poor Rhaenyra finding out she lost her father, her, the dragon baby that she had, uh and Lucerys, all in the span of a couple of days, is pretty fucking brutal.
Yeah.
And bravo Darcy, they knocked that episode out of the fucking park. Holy shit.
Yeah. And they brought Corlys back in a great way. Uh,
Yep.
they also, I must say, we have to talk about Rhaenys.
Yeah.
She is like the crown jewel, I'd say, of these two episodes. She's the glue of these two episodes.
Oh yeah.
And she, is portrayed clear-headed, even mind, even tempered. She has every reason to she has every reason, that moment when she could have lit that place up. It was like, here we go. But then she practices with restraint. And I think I
Which
saw,
was stupid. She should have killed them all.
yeah, it's what you wanted, right? That was what we were dying for.
Well, I mean, knowing that all these subsequent wars are going to follow, and that ends up being the downfall of the Targaryen dynasty, like she should have just Dracarys those fuckers to bits.
Well, her reasoning and her restraint, I thought, exuded strength of character,
I
which
agree.
we seldom see in Game of Thrones because we seldom see women in power
Yeah.
making insightful and decisions of restraint.
Yeah.
Speaking of
We just get
restraint,
Baratheon lords who can't read.
right, right, yeah. Well, okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But also in terms of restraint, Rhaenyra's restraint,
Yeah.
I thought was very well paced and was very well used in the plot of the finale. Because of course, at the end of that episode, she is likely to have no restraint uh, from here on out.
Yeah. 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 I really enjoyed their entire arc in this episode, especially like the interspersed little dragon faces that we saw when she was giving birth to that dragon baby,
What do
which
you mean, dragon baby? I got a
okay,
stupid question for you. What's a dragon baby?
so this is a thing in the from the books, and I think this is what happened to Daenerys's baby as well, in season 1 of Game of Thrones, where it was not the witch's magic that killed her baby, but it was the dragon magic that's with it, like the dragon blood, dragon magic within the Targaryens. That is kind of the blood pact that they have between them and the dragons, and that is the cost of their connection to the dragons.
Is that sometimes they have these half human, half dragon babies that don't make it
Yeah, kind of thing.
and can probably, I was going to say, take the women out as they deliver them, but that's childbirth. That's
In
normal
general,
childbirth.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a subject that I know a ton about from the books, but it is a pretty consistent, it's a recurring thing that happens in the books.
Mhm.
um and I thought that was really interesting. You could tell this episode was written by a woman based on how intensely real that scene was. And once again, Emma Darcy knocked it out of the fucking park. That was so uncomfortable to watch.
Is is that Emma Darcy? I thought Emma Darcy was
That's Billy Alcock.
oh, okay, right, right.
Yeah. So that was incredible and super emotional. And also shout out to Ramin Javadi yet again. They said make it hurt, and he made it hurt.
Hmm.
You know, pretty crazy that we got like a 3-minute montage in a finale episode like that. They really gave him a chance to shine there.
Yeah,
Um, the scene with Damon singing the lullaby to the dragon
it was great.
was fucking awesome. We finally got to see that.
Well, plus we also got to see as tender a side as Damon can give if
Yep.
Damon were to be around a child, but of course he's not around a child, he's around a dragon.
Right. Yep.
And as with most things Game of Thrones related, it is a self-serving uh interaction,
Yep.
and it's motivated with bloodlust and conquest and revenge. Yeah,
Yep.
there he is singing a lullaby. Yeah. I'm not so much of a, obviously I'm not a big George R. Martin nerd, but I can only imagine the backflips the nerds were doing to have the old Valyrian be sung and spoken by
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty fucking cool. Um yeah, I mean the whole episode was so fucking good. I love that they repeated the scene on the bridge with Otto Hightower and Damon and Rhaenyra flying in
yeah.
dragon. That was fucking awesome. And the power move to walk through them yet again.
With
Oh
the dragon behind it was wonderful. That was really good. I suppose that was direction. I really liked that. And they kettled them right there, gave them no escape. And Rhys Ifans still held his own. Another great example of restraint. What is you are no more the hand of the king than, what did she say? She threw his pin.
I don't remember.
But it was a fantastic moment where he again, well, he had to exercise restraint, otherwise they would have been cooked. Um, Nevertheless, it was great because not only did he practice restraint, he didn't cower either, which I thought was again really good tension,
Yep.
really really good stakes, and it has that wonderful classic Game of Thrones feel of like, ooh,
Yep.
that's not going to end well. Like,
No, no, it's not. No, it is not. And then, I mean, after that, the God, Rhaenyra's stupid sons. Jesus Christ.
go on.
Lucerys is an idiot. As soon as he saw Vhagar at Storm's End, he should have gotten right back on his stupid little dragon and flown the fuck out of there.
Well, yeah, he is young. He is the younger of the two, and he's very naive, and he's always been very trusting. And if you go back to when he took out Aemon's eye, he didn't do it out of malice.
Right.
He didn't do it even intentionally. He was doing it out of self-preservation and defense. And that is consistent with the same sense of character of like, I'm not here as a warrior, I'm here as a messenger, and I'm going to deliver my
lunch, and you're there as lunch.
Yeah, that's the thing he forgot to factor in.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, what a fucking idiot. What a truly fucking idiot who did not really understand the stakes of what was going on.
Well, a child.
A child. And then, I mean, that whole dragon fight, I love that they used the Jaws effect with Vhagar to make Vhagar so much scarier during that scene.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then that, oh God, the scene of him flying above them. Oh,
I know.
That just like the hint of Vhagar and the lightning. Fucking shit.
When it all started, I was like, oh, I'm so glad there's a rainstorm for them to be masked in, for Vhagar to be hidden in. And I was like, that's really good. I was like, bring it on. Good. A rainstorm. Good, great, grand.
Yep. Yeah. And then, good Lord, the probably one of the best shots of the entire season was Aemond looking down at the bits of the dragon flying off, but there's no sign of Lucerys anywhere because Vhagar ate Lucerys.
Oh yeah, but how great was that for Aemond to be like, no, like, don't, that's not what, like, we weren't gonna go there right now. Like, I thought that was great. And it's like, and it's wonderful because it sets it up. Is he gonna claim this, or is he gonna go whoopsie doopsie? I don't know. So what do you think? You think he's gonna own it, or you think he's gonna make up a story?
I don't know about that part in the books. I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
We'll see. I bet he owns up to it because that's a pretty serious thing. It's just going to be very. It reminds me of season 3 of whatever season it was of Game of Thrones, where Dany buys the Unsullied, or where she claims and frees the Unsullied after she gives Drogon to the slave owner. And he's going to keep the dragon as his slave. And Dany tells him, I don't remember what it is in High Valyrian, but tells him that a dragon is no slave. And Aemond and Lucerys forgot about that. They should have known, because once that shit went down, there's no way those dragons aren't fighting each other.
Yeah. What was it? Arax,
whatever it is.
He shot first.
And didn't stand a fucking chance.
No.
The only thing that they should have done is like gripped into the bottom of Vhagar and stayed there.
Millennium Falconed.
Yeah, exactly.
On the Star Destroyer.
Yep. That was the only shot they had.
Yeah.
And it's not like
you can even hide. But then he would have been lit. Like, they would have.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wonderful. It was and we finally got a dog fight, a dragon fight. Yeah,
we're gonna get a lot of those next season. But yeah, A+ finale. They nailed it.
Set it right up for the second season.
Yeah, the second season is going to be set up perfectly. I mean, I think we got a lot more in this finale than we do typically in most season finales. I love that final scene where Daemon pulls her to the fireplace and tells her about Lucerys is pretty fucking awesome. And Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was
that.
apparently that was Smith's idea too.
Oh, was it? Well,
Mhm.
that's interesting to hear you say that, because when it happened, I was like, well, we all knew that was going to happen. We knew that he was going to be king by proxy. You
Yeah,
know, that was abundantly clear.
right.
um, yeah, that was uncomfortable. I mean,
Yeah.
I I can't remember. How does that? What does she say in response to that? Nothing, right? He just kind of.
He comes in at the very end and he grabs her arm and takes her to the fireplace, and we
Right.
don't hear them say anything. And then we turn around and we get that great look on her face of just being furious and ready to kill all the greens.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. I
Yeah,
thought
at the
you were
very
talking
very end of the
about. Yes, I thought you were talking about earlier when
No.
he puts hands on her.
Oh, that scene was crazy. That scene was fucking nuts. But no, that was way earlier in the episode. I was talking about the very end.
I understand. Yes, that was fantastic. And
Yeah.
it's heavily implied that, again, all the restraint with which you saw her exercise beforehand, as all of these men want to go to war, is
Out
going to
the
come
window
right out.
now.
No, her son's gone. And
Yeah.
I liked what Emma Darcy said the interview, the inside the episode afterward, of how she thought she knew what grief was, to have lost her mother, her lover, her father, but then losing her son. She's like, I have no idea what grief was like until now, until this moment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was well done, really well done. Gratuitous anything is difficult to sell after a while, right? We become desensitized. And somehow they've portioned out Rhaenyra's grief in a way that is digestible
Hmm.
and believable.
Yeah. Now, speaking of digestible and believable, Halbrand was Sauron.
Okay.
I
Did we bet it?
was
Make any
right.
bets?
I was right. I was super fucking right. I just want everyone to know that I saw Rings of Power finale before Steve did, and I so I haven't gotten a chance to tell you this yet. But so the beginning of that episode when they were like, "Ooh, the stranger is Sauron," I almost texted you after seeing that cold open, Steve Bowder, and said, "Halbrand is Sauron." And thank God I didn't send that fucking text because Halbrand was fucking Sauron.
Wait, you mean you were going to say that the stranger was Sauron?
No, I was going to send you a text after they revealed that the stranger was
Oh,
Sauron at the
oh,
show, that Halbrand is Sauron. And thank God I didn't actually text you that. So then waiting for you to watch the episode for the next day and a half, 2 days, whatever it was fucking hysterical because I wanted to tell you that story, but I couldn't because it would spoil the whole fucking episode for you. And then finally, when you watched it, you texted me, you're like, oh, the stranger is Sauron? And then about 20 minutes later, you were like, fuck, 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 fuck. Damn it. What the fuck? God damn.
Yeah, I found so.
The Celebrimbor.
Yeah. Listen, hey, no, that wasn't so. At that point, I was like, okay, here we go. And then he said, "Call it a gift," and I was like, "Oh, because Sauron was labeled the bringer of gifts by the elves in Eregion in the source material." So when he said that line, I was like, "Oh." Now the reason why I'm hold on before I get there. Charlie Vickers is an excellent actor, and he did a
Yeah.
fantastic job.
Yeah.
As is Charles Edwards, as Celebrimbor and Morfydd Clark, Robert Aramayo, Benjamin Walker. They're fantastic actors. They did so much good work with that text, and they kept the secret pretty well. And Charlie Vickers kept the secret really well, because we didn't know. I had a sneaky suspicion that they were hinting at it, and I was like, oh, well, if he's Sauron, then well, that's just too convenient. Like that's just too. It was just a prolonged reveal, and I get it. You want a big reveal for your season finale, but him picking her up in the middle of the ocean. So now what's become clear is they were going for the repentant Sauron arc, which is consistent. But I didn't believe him. I didn't think he was that repentant. I didn't think he was Sauron repentant. I thought he was Halbrand repentant, if that makes sense. Here's what, you know, just a guy who loves Tolkien and loves stories and good acting and so on. This is what I had hoped would have happened. And I'm going to reference a show that has nothing to do with Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon or Rings of Power. There's a show on Peacock that I have to recommend because it's really good. It's called A Friend of the Family. It's based on true events. And what happens is it's very serious, it's very dark, but it's very, very good. It's not graphic, it's not explicit, but it is about a pedophile. Jake Lacey, I believe, is the actor who plays this character B. And he's so manipulative. And he brings people into their trust. And he lulls you into a false sense of security, and he never breaks character. You never see him sweat. You never catch him off his guard. He is calculated and smooth and etc., etc. And after seeing the season finale and how Sauron was introduced and handled, watching this show about this pedophile who gained the trust of the people he victimized made me wonder, why couldn't we have done that with Sauron? Why couldn't we have been like, and like, why couldn't we have really, really liked him? I liked Halbrand, but it was all too clear that he wasn't to be trusted.
Yeah.
It was so clear, you know, not to trust him, that he was probably going to be evil. And it tipped their hand in a way that cheapened the reveal. I'm just speaking from my opinion. And I don't have any, you know, listen, if they wanted to make a Halbrand Sauron, that's their decision. It's their invention of the show. I understand there's a lot of politics with the Tolkien estate, and I'm willing to forgive that for the sake of the show, but also for the sake of the show, I just felt like it was like, well, clearly this guy's evil. Clearly he's going to be up to no good. He hasn't done. There were nods to him like saving Elendil. That was cool. Saving Galadriel. And the only explanation as to why he saved her and why he saved Elendil is because he was truly repentant as part of this repentant Sauron arc. Or he wanted to use them and perhaps get into their good graces, which again, good manipulative behavior. Right. I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see more wit, more like working the angles. Like he had one interaction with Ar-Pharazôn, which was just, you know, long enough to tell him where Galadriel was going to be in the chambers of the king when she escaped jail. I wanted more. I just wanted more. And that's my biggest criticism of the first season is the characters that were the known names, Galadriel, Elrond, canonical characters. I didn't feel like I was allowed to. I was given enough investment in them. Same with the worlds. Same with Numenor. Same with Lindon, which was really cool. Not that we needed to see a ton of it. Or Eregion. We barely see Eregion. Don't come for me, nerds that watch this. There are no nerds that watch this.
We are the nerds.
We are the nerds that watch this. Like, thank God for Khazad-dûm.
Yeah.
For Owain Arthur and what's his name, Peter Mullen and Sophia Nomvete, and thank God for them and for the way that those parts were handled. That was investment. That got me invested. That got me interested, and I think that's the general consensus among book lovers and non book lovers, is that they handle the dwarves really, really well, which was great. But Numenor got glossed over. I don't know why they're trying to cram so much into this season. I thought, and it's odd because I thought the pacing was at times stop start.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know. There were times like in the Hobbit trilogy where the pacing was again drawn out in ways that were like, whoa, 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 okay, we're getting 3 movies. And then later on, you come to find out it has to do with the politics of it being put together. I have a feeling a big reason why Numenor and Numenor and perhaps Eregion, but I don't know. I think they cut a lot of Eregion stuff out. I think they cut out a lot more with Celebrimbor and Gilgalad. That's my feeling. What I was going
Mm-hmm.
to say was, I think the stuff with Numenor, I think all of that was because that was a practical set. Most of that was all built, and because they filmed during the height of COVID-19, I have a feeling it was pandemic issues
Mm.
that stopped them from doing as much as they had wanted to in those places. So I can't help but think that something was a bit salvaged and put together for the through line, and so we missed out on certain things. I don't know. I'm speculating, but I would wager that it might have something to do with that. So
Yeah.
I loved it though. I really did. I loved the experience. I loved the way it looked. I loved the performances, as we've talked about a lot. I wanted more. That's really the criticism. I just wanted more because
Yeah.
the parts I was enjoying so much. I
Right.
just wanted more, and I wanted more investment. Like we got great. I mentioned this last time. We got great character investment with the Queen Regent Mariel and Elendil,
Mm-hmm.
where she finally is, shares that she's scared, and he shares that he's scared, and they're in that dark room below deck on the ship, and that's some real character vulnerability, and
Yep.
in a way where my acting teacher in college used to say, I want a character that bleeds, not a character that's impervious to the woes of the world and hardship, and we got some of that, and that's what that humanity is, what draws me in, and I just wanted more of that. And I want
Yeah.
more of that with how they handled the deception of Halbrand being Sauron.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
just
my other big issue is that their two big twists were so bloody obvious from the beginning. Like it's like the R plus L equals J theory in Game of Thrones, where Rhaegar and Lyanna are Jon Snow's real parents. Jon Snow is not Ned Stark's bastard; he's Ned Stark's nephew. And like, if you knew about that theory, that was quite obvious throughout the course of the show, but only if you knew. It wasn't telegraphed to you. Whereas the stranger was so telegraphed that it was Gandalf or one of the Ishtar. And Halbrand was so telegraphed that he was Sauron, especially those scenes in Numenor. That one in particular that I pointed out after in like episode 4 or 5, when he walks in that room in
uh,
front of the wall of candles that all look like the eye of Sauron, and I was like, Halbrand is Sauron. Like
yeah.
I don't. If your twist is going to be that fucking obvious, just give me the information earlier and delve more into that character. And like, as I totally agree with you about wanting more time in a lot of these other places, and I do think that COVID probably changed a lot of this, and it's not the only show that's happened to. Like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Marvel show on Disney Plus, they had to rewrite one of the most major plot lines in that show because one of their plot lines was there was a worldwide pandemic. That was yeah, exactly. So they had to rewrite that whole plot. But for all of the great scenes that we have, I feel like it's a 1-to-1 ratio of a great scene and a really poorly written scene.
Mm.
That fucking scene with the stranger and the three witch ladies was so good until it wasn't. I'm good. Fuck you. Fuck you. That's the best you can do for 178 million fucking dollars. Fuck you.
I see your point.
I hated that. A 4-year-old could have written that better.
Yeah. Well, before I respond, what did you think should have happened? What do you think he should have said?
I just think in that moment, I'm good is so stupid. You're going to give me something like, uh, I'm not the evil you think I am.
Uh-huh. I see. Yeah.
Or anything other than I'm good.
Yeah, it was I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree. It didn't necessarily, but it also didn't rub me completely the wrong way. But it is a good example of like, couldn't we have done something a little bit more poetic, a little bit more I don't know, some Elvish with a subtitle or
Yeah.
um yeah, I mean it was clear like that moment was there because he was choosing his destiny, he was choosing his fate, and he chose to differentiate himself, and he was willing to oust them.
Yeah.
So he I suppose had to make a stand, but yeah, I mean, like that wasn't my biggest, like, honestly. I was fine with that. It was another one of those things that was like, no, maybe it's not that important. Like maybe there'll be bigger things that we're more interested in later on. But again,
Yeah.
this isn't the type of thinking I want to have for a show that I've been super duper excited about coming out
Right.
for years. I love what's his name? Daniel Wayman, the
Mm-hmm.
actor plays. He's like talk about a masterclass in neutral acting. Um,
Yeah.
it's been, I feel like he's one of those like he's been a dark horse of this season, in terms
And
of
that's real hair and beard too.
the hair and beard. Yeah.
Yeah.
um I am good. Well, I mean, it's not like it was completely out of the blue. They she explained the difference between good and peril, uh
Right.
and he, instead of being perilous, he chose to be good. I don't know, man. Like good is has become so overused that it is no longer um as meaningful, perhaps, a word as it once was. It is a placeholder
Right.
for something better. And so it almost, I can understand. Yes, I can understand that. Yeah. Well, wait, hold on. We didn't talk about Stranger and talk about, I mean, as far as telegraphing goes,
Yeah.
um when in doubt, always follow your nose. Did you get that?
No, that went over my head.
Okay, that was another moment where, like, when Halbrand said call it a gift, I was like, oh. Now I went, because that's a line Gandalf says to Mary
Mm-hmm.
in the Mines of Moria when he finally, makes the decision of how to proceed to get to the other side. Um, he's like, "Are you?" Because Mary's like, You remember, right?" And he goes, "No, but the air is not so foul down here. When in doubt, Mary Doc, always follow your nose." And
Mm.
so, that being said by the stranger, while endearing and familiar, I thought, so he's not going to be a new character. that we encounter. So it's going to be young Gandalf.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe it is young Gandalf. Um, Gandalf never, ever, ever went to where they're going, though. So I
Mm.
don't know. But it seems pretty plain that they are trying to let us know that that's Gandalf. And I thought that was again, I thought they were telegraphing that. And I was like, well, why? But then it could just be a fun saying the Istari have, you know,
Right.
when they're navigating Middle Earth after, having never been there before. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard that and I went, oh, they're just like,
And I think that the stranger is unavoidable as Gandalf. I mean I think that that's so obvious that that it has been him the whole season, from the robe to the interaction with the Harfoots and all that. Like, there's no way that it can't be Gandalf now.
that's what I'm afraid of. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the same way they telegraphed Halbrand as Sauron. I'm like, oh, well, they've dropped all these hints that it could be Gandalf, so
Yeah.
I guess it's Gandalf.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I really liked his acting, and I guess they're trying to make the show um for the masses, I guess. Um I guess it's they're trying to because there's so much that is unfamiliar and
Mm-hmm.
un-Lord of the Ringsy that
Right.
maybe they are trying to give us these touchstones to reference all the characters that we do know.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Favorite moments from each episode of the finale and House of the Dragon finale.
Geez, I don't know because it was pretty, you know, favorite and is like it was exciting, but it was like gut wrenching or was
Mm-hmm.
when Arrak's got taken out by Vagar. No, no, my favorite moment was when Rhaenys said to Corlys, "We have
Yeah.
lost everything."
Yep.
I thought no, that was my favorite moment because I was like, "Yeah, Corlys, like, 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 you got to understand, you are not going to solve anything from here on out by yourself. If you
Right.
haven't learned anything,
Right.
I liked that. I liked that she held her own and she took that moment to call him in private with the two of them and say, hey, 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 if you don't think I am as equally invested in
Right.
the honor and legacy of our house, then maybe you should go back into a coma and
Right.
leave the rest to me. She didn't say all that, but that's what I got from that exchange. Um, how about you for House of Dragon?
I have two. The scene on the bridge, and the moment after Rhaenyra gives the stillbirth of the baby, when before the funeral, when she's wrapping it in the cloth and she collapses crying.
Mm.
That was fucking amazing.
Yeah, that
And
was
then my favorite moment of the Rings of Power finale was when they're back on the boat and they show you the vision of Sauron in his armor and Galadriel as his queen in the water.
yeah, that was beautiful. My favorite part was watching Galadriel downward spiral. Not
Yeah,
because I dislike her, but because we needed to see it
yeah,
so desperately. We needed to see it. We needed her to see that she was wrong, that she was misled, that she misled everybody else. We needed to see that she um, needs to rethink those parts of herself that she is trusting a little bit too heavily, and she needs to give ear and give reason to um, the advice
mm-hmm.
her friends and kin.
Yep,
And I thought that was a great payoff for this very brash, headstrong, at times very indignant Galadriel that was so pervasive in the first several episodes, or the middle, I would say, more
Right.
than the middle episodes. So I enjoyed that. I mean, in addition to seeing the fight between the stranger and the mystics,
Yep. That was cool.
that was fantastic. It was really good. Also, moth imagery, telegraphing Gandalf with the moth that
Mm-hmm.
saves, sends word to Quair to the Great Eagle on top of Isengard. I'm not sure what the next season's going to be. I've heard that it might be like The Wire. If you've ever seen The Wire, have you seen The Wire?
No.
Every season has new characters in a new place, all in Baltimore. And this could be new characters. I don't think it's going to be completely new characters, but the reason I say that is because in a Hollywood Reporter interview, Ismael Cruz Cordova says, I don't know if I'm going to be brought back. I think he's going to
Right.
be brought back. He has too much mass appeal. Like, he's done such a great job. And he's such a gem of a human being, it seems.
Yeah.
Genuinely, grateful. It seems like all of these actors are genuinely grateful for this opportunity. And they handled it so well, which is the biggest thing I appreciate from the series, is the integrity of the performances of these actors and how much they've given.
Right.
We'll see what next season is. We're going to Rune, at least. We know we're going to be in the East. Likely we're going to see Sauron as Sauron. I'm interested to know if Charlie Vickers is going to play Sauron from here on out. I hope
Yeah.
we know how Halbrand's visage was obtained or
Yeah.
by Sauron. That again
Yeah.
seems arbitrary and
That
convenient.
story of how they executed, of how Sauron pulled that off.
I hope so. I hope we
I
get.
wonder if he just followed her from when, like in the beginning when they were up in the ice castle, right? And then he just followed her from there.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense to me. And yeah, and perhaps he saw that this was actually her weakness.
Yeah. I want a lot more Sauron backstory next season.
Yeah.
I need a lot more. All right. Well, I think we need to do a full season rewatch of both of these shows one of these days.
I'm down.
And then we'll do a season recap video, especially since we missed so much time. But I've got to jump off and call it a day here.
Okay.
And yeah, we will do a recap video soon. We'll figure out when we can do that.
Great. Thank you, everyone who has watched with us and listened to our points of view and contributed to the comments on YouTube. Thank you so much for your interest and your support and your enthusiasm. This has been a lot of fun for me. Thanks, Alex, for being down to do this. It's great to nerd out with you, man, and have an excuse to hang out.
Exactly. You too, buddy. All right. We love you all, and we will see you all soon.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.